Good afternoon, everyone. Myself, Dr. Vishwas Grover. Today, I am going to continue with this radioactive. This is the radiographic methods which are used for the non-destructive testings, and in the continuation of that, I will discuss this. And in this is a radio. Today, we will continue from this radioactivity. First of all, we have studied about the different spectrum for that, and in this class we will start from the radioactivity. That what is radioactivity? So, the mass of a nucleus consists of a Z proton and a Z neutron, and is found to be less than sum of the masses of Z proton and the a Z neutrons. Okay. So, it is found to be less than the sum of the masses of Z proton and a Z neutron. This difference is called as the mass defect. Okay. This difference is called as the mass defect. If the mass difference is delta m, then the energy equivalent to this mass is called as the, okay, then the energy is equivalent to of this mass only. Okay. So, here it can be seen that E, that is radioactivity, E is delta m c square, where c is the velocity of light, is said to be responsible for keeping the constituents of the nucleus bound together. This is the energy, okay, which is delta m c square, where c is the velocity of light, and it is said to be responsible for keeping the constituents of nucleus bound together. In continuation, Coulomb force between them tend to break the nucleus. Okay. However, for the nucleus to be stable, it is essential that the nuclear binding forces overcome this repulsive force, and it is found that in elements of atomic numbers higher than 82, repulsive forces are very high, and such elements are no longer stable. These elements start disintegrating to form the stable elements of lower atomic number. Okay. And this disintegration of nuclei of high atomic number owing to repulsive Coulomb force is called the radioactivity, and during the process of disintegration, the alpha and beta particles and gamma rays are emitted. So, alpha particles are positively charged particles with a mass of about 4 times that of the hydrogen atom and carrying 2 units of positive charge. Okay, and it carries the 2 units of the positive charge. They produce the fluorescence and can ionize gases and are easily absorbed by a thin sheet of paper. These are easily absorbed by a thin sheet of paper, and they are deflected by magnetic fields. Next, beta particles. Beta particles are negatively charged particles identified with electrons. These are identified with electrons, and it is believed that they are created during the radioactive decay process. They ionize gases and are deflected by magnetic fields in a direction opposite to the direction of alpha particles, and they are easily absorbed by matter. Gamma rays are uncharged and are not affected by magnetic fields. They are highly penetrating rays emitting in discrete energy levels. Then gamma rays. The nucleus of an atom mainly consists of protons and neutrons bound to it, and these particles exist in discrete energy levels similar to energy levels of orbital electrons of atoms. Okay. The nuclei exist in different energy states. Transition of nuclear energy level from a higher state E1 to a lower energy level E2 is possible. In such a transition of nuclear energy, gamma rays may be emitted according to the relation. What is the relation? E1 minus E2 is equal to hV, where h is the Planck's constant and V is the frequency of the emitted radiation. So, now next is the differences between X-rays and the gamma rays. In one definition is that the term gamma ray is used for photons from naturally occurring sources. Okay, gamma ray is used for photons from naturally occurring sources, and X-ray is used for photons from man-made machines. These are used for photons from man-made machine. Another definition is that gammas are from radioactive atomic nuclei and X-rays are from electron excitation acceleration. A third definition often used in astronomy, where the origin may not be known, is that higher energies, that is in the MeV, are called as the gamma rays, and lower energies, that is KeV, are called as the X-rays. And gamma rays are similar to X-rays, except that they are emitted by the nucleus of an atom. So, gamma rays consist of discrete wavelengths much shorter than that of the X-rays. Next, the radioactive series. Radioactive elements are divided into naturally occurring radioactive elements and artificially produced radioactive isotopes. That is, elements having the same atomic number but different mass number are called as the isotopes. And the naturally occurring radioactive elements decay by alpha and beta emissions. Then radioactive isotopes found by a sequence of transformations constitute a radioactive series. It constitutes a radioactive series. A natural radioactive series starts with a long lived element and ends with a stable isotope. There are 3 such groups, that is the thorium series, which starting with the TH 232 90 and ending with the PB 208 to 82. Then uranium series is like starting with uranium 238 to 92 and ending with PB 206 to 82. Then actinium series is starting with uranium 235 to 92 and ending with PB 207 to 82. Then bombarding materials with electrons, protons or neutrons produce the artificial radioactive isotopes. Currently, artificial radioactive isotopes are produced by exposing materials contained in aluminum cylinders to a neutron flux in a channel in an atomic reactor core. Okay, in an atomic reactor core. The nucleus of the substance captures some of the neutrons and is transformed into a radioactive substance. So, this is the thorium series. Okay, pictorial representation of this. Okay. Then next is the radioactive decay, means after some time it get decayed out, radioactive get decayed out. Statistical studies have shown that radioactive disintegration occurring per unit time is proportional to the number of radioactive atoms present, and mathematically this is represented by dN by minus dN by dt equal to lambda n, where lambda is the constant of proportionality, n is the number of radioactive atoms present, and negative sign indicates decrease in number with time, decrease in number with time. If initially the number of atoms is n0 at t is equal to 0, then expression 1 can be expressed as n is equal to n0 e raised to power minus lambda t. Then next is the radioactive decay. This is the basic law of radioactivity transformation. The constant of proportionality lambda is called as the radioactive decay constant. The quantity dN by dt called the activity decreases exponentially, and it is seen from the equation 2 that the time taken by any radioactive substance to decay completely, that is n to 0, is infinite. This information is of no significance. For this reason, we consider the half-life. What we consider? We consider the half-life, which is defined as the time required for the half the atoms initially present to undergo transformation. For this, we consider the half-life, which is defined as the time required for the half the atom initially present to undergo the transformation. Thus, after the half-life, n by 2 is equal to n into e raised to power minus lambda t, or 2 is equal to e raised to power lambda t. Therefore, t is equal to 0.693 over lambda. 1 over lambda is called as the mean life of a radioactive atom. What is 1 by lambda is the called as the mean life of a radioactive atom. Half life t is equal to 0.693 into mean life. half life T is equal to 0.693 into mean life. From the viewpoint of industrial radiography, half life is convenient measure of the useful period for which a radioactive isotope can be used economically. Okay. Then next are the properties of gamma and X-rays. Invisible pass through space without transference of matter, not affected by electric and magnetic fields, and propagate in a straight line, also exhibit wave properties and are reflected, refracted, diffracted and polarized. Okay. So, these are the properties of X-ray and gamma rays, and transverse electromagnetic waves, and these are capable of ionizing gases and changing the electrical properties of liquids and solids, and these are capable of blackening photographic film, and these produce the fluorescence and phosphorescence in some substances, and these also damage or kill the living cells with and produce the genetic mutations, and it also liberate the photoelectrons, recoil electrons, electron positron pair and act photochemically and differentially absorbed by the matter, and these produce the characteristic spectra of chemical elements. Then now next is the interaction of X-rays and gamma rays with the matter, that is the attenuation. So, penetrating radiations like X-rays and gamma rays passing through a material medium interact with the matter in a complex manner. Okay. It interact with the matter in a complex manner, and the effect of interaction is attenuation of incident radiation. Attenuation take place in two ways, that is the absorption and scattering, and when the X-rays or gamma rays are directed into an object, some of the photons interact with the particles of the matter and their energy can be absorbed or scattered, and this absorption and scattering is called as the attenuation. So, this is the pictorial representation, that is the incident radiation falls over this material medium. It gets divided into pair production, heat, and material mediums get divided into electrons and electrons to Compton, recoil electrons, and these are further classified into photoelectrons, and material mediums are transferred into transmitted radiations, and material mediums are classified into secondary radiation, characteristic radiation, scattered radiation, and scattered radiation to unmodified, coherent and Compton modified incoherent. So, these are the interaction of radiation with matter. Then this is the summary of different mechanism that causes the attenuation, that is the photoelectric absorption of X-rays occur with the X-ray photon is absorbed, resulting in the ejection of electrons from the outer shell of the atoms. Okay, this incident photon get interacted and ejection of electrons from the outer shell of the atom, and hence the ionization of the atom, Subsequently, the ionized atom returns to the natural state with the emission of an X-ray characteristics of atom. This subsequent emission of lower energy photons is generally absorbed and does not contribute the image making process. The photoelectron absorption is the dominant process for X-ray absorption up to energies of 500 kilowatt, and photoelectron absorption is also dominant for atoms of high atomic numbers. Okay. Then next is the Compton scattering, like this enters into this is the incident photon. Compton scattering occurs when the incident X-ray photon is deflected from its original path by an interaction with an electron. Okay, by interaction with an electron, the electron gains energy and is ejected from its orbital position, The X-ray photon loses energy due to the interaction, but continues to travel through the material along an altered path. Okay, along an altered path. Since the scattered X-ray photon has less energy, it therefore has longer wavelength than the incident photon. Okay, and the event is also known as the incoherent scattering because the photon energy change resulting from an interaction is always orderly and consistent. The energy shift depends on the angle of scattering and not on the nature of the scattering medium. Okay. Next is the pair production. Pair production can occur when the X-ray photon energy is greater than 1.02 MeV, but really only becomes significant at energies around 10 MeV. Pair production occurs when an electron and positron are created with the annihilation, complete destruction of the X-ray photon. Positrons are very short-lived and disappear positron annihilation with the formation of two photons of 0.51 MeV energy. Then pair production is of particular importance when the high energy photons pass through the materials of a high atomic number. So, this is the mechanism or the summary of different mechanism that cause the attenuation. So, in this class we will end up here and will continue with Thomson scattering in the next class. So, thank you so much.